Welcome into Coach Craig Sports. This is the MLB DFS Core Pick video for today, Friday, August 9th. If you're joining me for the very first time, first of all, welcome in. Second of all, this is how today's video will be structured. We will be going over my core picks, which is going to be based on a combination of past performance versus their respective opponent, as well as some recent history. It's going to be one pitcher, 4 hitters in total. And then after that, we'll move over to my cheat sheet and talk about my top GPP teams to stack for tonight's slate overall. That cheat sheet is up on the YouTube community tab. It's up on Facebook. It's up on Twitter. So definitely feel free to check it out as you're building up your lineups for tonight's slate overall. But without further ado, we'll get started with the core picks for tonight's slate. We'll start off at the pitcher position with Jose Berrios. He is $8,400. Going against the Oakland A's, you got some pretty decent history versus them in the past. Kind of limited at that. The one guy that has hit him pretty well in the past was Seth Brown, who just recently went on the IL. So now it's just really Zach Geloff, who's 2-3 versus him, and then Lawrence Butler is 1-2 with a home run off him. But the upside that he's shown last year versus Oakland A's team, a lot of similar hitters in a way, 37 and 46 points, so some pretty decent upside there. Been a little bit of a hit or miss season for Jose Berrios. Slowed down a little bit more as of late, averaging about 28 fantasy points per game on the season. And if we look a little bit more closely at what he's done in totality on the season, he's got 9 wins. ERA is just over 4 at this point in time, 4.11. So definitely do like his upside in the start. Obviously, if you do not want to play Jose Berrios, there's a plethora of other options out there tonight. Would probably recommend Jack Flaherty as my second pitcher, though. And I'm going to say the cheat sheet made a small error there. For some reason, I wrote down Jack Flaherty at $9,100, which just seemed like too good of a price tag anyways, but he is $11,000 tonight, so he would be my preferred pay-up option. We'll probably leave an updated version of that cheat sheet down in the comment section of all three of those places as well. And then we move down to the hitters. We're going to start off at first base with Vinny Pasquantino of the Kansas City Royals. And he is 1-3 versus Miles Mikolas in his career. Mikolas is the expected starting pitcher for the St. Louis Cardinals tonight. And if we look at what Vinny Pasquantino has done as of late, he's on a modest 11-game hitting streak, 5 multi-hit games during the time span, 6 home runs, so that power is really starting to come around once again. 8 double-digit performances, and 9 of those games have had at least 9 fantasy points or higher. So he's averaging just under 10.5 fantasy points per game at $3,300. He's got a .270 average on the season. He has 17 home runs on the season. Keep in mind that 6 of them have came in the last 11 games. 84 RBIs, so really productive at driving in runs so far this season. Looks like a really solid option overall tonight. Kansas City Royals are going to be one of those teams with probably a little bit of a sneakier stack tonight as well. And then we're going to move down to shortstop with Willy Adames, $3,400, averaging just under 11.5 fantasy points per game. Goes against the Cincinnati Reds tonight. It is Carson Spires as the expected starting pitcher. And in his career versus Carson Spires, Willy Adames is 1-2. If we look at what Adames has done as of late, in 2 out of his last 3 games, he has at least 1 hit, 2 multi-hit games during that time span, 3 home runs, 2 double-digit performances in all 3 games. He's had at least 9 fantasy points, so offers a relatively safe floor. Obviously, you do get those games with Willy Adames where he goes 0-4, but the high-end upside with him on any given slate looks pretty good overall. So we got a little bit of good recent history. We got a decent history, a very small sample size versus Carson Spires in the past. If we look at what Willy Adames has done so far in the season, it's a .252 average, 20 home runs, 76 RBIs, once again averaging just under 11.5 fantasy points per game at $3,400. And then we'll move down to the outfield with his teammate Sal Frelick, $2,400, averaging just under 8 fantasy points per game. He is going against Carson Spires, obviously, as well tonight. He is 3-3 versus Carson Spires in his career. He has at least 1 hit in 6 out of his last 7 starts. 3 multi-hit games during that time span. He's got 0 home runs during that time span, though, although Sal Frelick's not a guy that we're expecting too much power out of on any given slate either way. 3 double-digit performances, and he does have 4 performances of at least 9 fantasy points. So at $2,400, looks like a relatively good value play overall. He's got a .274 average on the season, 2 home runs, 22 RBIs. So we're looking for a couple hits out of Sal Frelick tonight. If he gets a stolen base as well, it could be a really good value at $2,400 overall. And then last but not least, we have Kyle Schwarber at $4,100, averaging just under 13.5 fantasy points per game. He's on a really strong hot streak as of late, and he's had a really good season so far. So if we look at what he's done as of late, he's on a modest 7-game hitting streak, 3 multi-hit games during that time span, 5 home runs coming off a 3-homer game as well, 5 double-digit performances, and then 6 out of those last 7 games have had at least 9 fantasy points or higher. He is 1-4 versus Ryan Nelson, the expected starting pitcher for the Arizona Diamondbacks. We're not really relying too much on that past history in that matchup, it's a little bit more as what Kyle Schwarber's done as of late. If we look at what he's done on the season in totality, 261 average for a guy that's been floating around 200 the last couple of seasons. That's really good for him. 27 home runs, 73 RBIs. Really strong season for Kyle Schwarber overall, and definitely do like his upside once again tonight. But with that being said, if you go with these 5 players that do currently have listed here, you have $13,400 remaining, just under $3,400 per player. So a decent amount left over, whether you want to pay down for a couple of value plays, pay up for a couple other higher priced players as well, or if you want to take a little bit more balanced approach for the rest of your lineup. But with that being said, we'll get moved over to my cheat sheet and talk about my top GPP teams to stack for tonight's slate overall. So once again, the cheat sheet is 100% free. It's up on the YouTube community tab. It's up on Facebook. It's up on Twitter. So definitely feel free to use it as you're building out your lineups for tonight. But once again, like I said, Jack Flaherty, there is the typo there in terms of his price tag. He's $11,000, so he would be the preferred pay-up option tonight. We'll try to get an updated version of this cheat sheet out as well. But with all that being said, we'll get moved over to the top teams to stack for tonight. And we are going to start off with the Philadelphia Phillies going against Ryan Nelson tonight. Not a long list of history there, but really good history versus him in the past. Whether you want to play Kyle Schwarber, Bryce Harper, Trey Turner, Bryson Stott, Brandon Marsh, JT Realmuto, a lot of different options out there. And then even beyond that, you can probably play some of the other guys as well. Looks like a really strong stack for the Phillies tonight. Then we have the Royals going against Miles Mikolas. Not a long list of history versus him in the past, although he has really struggled as of late. The one guy that's got a lot of history versus him is Adam Frazier if he ends up in that starting lineup. And then we move over to the San Francisco Giants. They're going against, I believe it is Brant Herter, who is the expected starting or primary pitcher for Detroit. That may change as the day moves along, but no history versus him in the past. Some pretty significant upside there. You know, a guy that's making his second career major league appearance and his first career start if he ultimately does end up getting the start. And then last but not least, we have the San Diego Padres going against Edward Cabrera. Not much history there in the past, but Cabrera has really struggled so far this season, coming off one of his better starts as of late, but still definitely do like the upside of that Padres team once again tonight. But with that being said, that's pretty much what I do have in terms of the core picks as well as top GPP stacks for tonight's slate. As always, if you have any questions related to MLB DFS, be sure to drop them down in the comment section and I'll get back to you as quickly as possible. And then as always, I'll be leaving all the updates down in the comment section as well, whether that is weather related, starting pitcher related, and then I will also be posting all these starting lineups as they do get announced throughout the afternoon and early evening. So definitely make sure you're checking up for all that news as we do get closer to lock. But with that being said, if you are brand new to my channel, checking out for the very first time, or have yet to subscribe, please consider doing so. Definitely would appreciate it. It helps to build the community that we're trying to build here at Coach Craig Sports, which is one that's truly for you, the viewers, helping you with your DFS. Right now, we have MLB DFS in terms of the core pick videos Monday through Friday. We got my CFL DFS video coming out once a week, typically on Wednesdays. And then last but not least, if you're interested in sports betting, if you're interested in prop betting whatsoever, be sure to check out the links and promo codes down in the description below for Prize Picks, Parlay Play, and BetUS. If you are a brand new user on any one of those 3 sites, when you sign up, make your initial deposit, you will get a first match deposit bonus. For Prize Picks and Parlay Play, it's 100% match up to $100. And then on BetUS, it's 125% match on your first 3 deposits up to $2,500 in aggregate. So some pretty great opportunities to be had out there. And then with that being said, if you have any other additional questions related to that whatsoever, feel free to reach out to me, whether it's down in the comment section of this video or on Twitter at Coach Craig Sport, and be more than happy to help you with that journey as well. But with that being said, that's all that I truly have for today's video. Definitely do appreciate each and every one of you tuning in. Definitely means a lot to me. I hope that each and every one of you have a great rest of your day and some pretty good luck in MLB DFS tonight.